What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another deck and battle here on PTCGO, and today we're taking a look at Alolan Ninetales. This is going to be our first post-rotation deck here on the channel. I know a lot of people have been very excited for us to get some post-rotation coverage up, but since Worlds is now behind us, we can start to look ahead and see what might have some potential in this fresh new format that we have. So today we are, like I said, looking at Alolan Ninetales, kind of an older deck, but I think just in general I've been revisiting a lot of older archetypes that have been a little bit pushed out of the metagame previously. And so like I said, we're going to try out Alolan Ninetales and see how it might do in this new metagame. So Alolan Ninetales, let's just go over it real quick. It's been a minute since this card has been kind of relevant. So Alolan Ninetales GX is our main attacker, all the way back from Guardians Rising. Has a couple of, all pretty interesting attacks here. The first of which is Ice Blade. It is 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for a DCE, so just a nice little snipe attack. We have Blizzard Edge for 2 water and a colorist is 160, and you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. And then we have Ice Path GX just for a single DCE. Move all damage counters from this Pokemon to your opponent's active. So a lot of cool things going on here. We have a snipe attack, we have Blizzard Edge, which is actually really nice because with a choice band we hit 190, and we have some other damage modifiers in here as well to get over that 200 HP hump as well. So Blizzard Edge, pretty solid attack here, and even Ice Path GX, especially against decks that can't knock you out in one hit, it's going to allow you to live an extra turn and deny your opponent a knockout from time to time. So a lot of good things going on with this Alolan Ninetales GX. Now I will point out it is unfortunately weak to metal, and Metagross GX has been receiving a little bit of hype online from what I've seen going into the new post-rotation format, so we'll have to see if Ninetales can actually compete with that, but that's probably the only real downside I'd say to its stats. And even though we're playing 3 of the GX, we are also playing one of the other Alolan Ninetales, the quote-unquote baby Alolan Ninetales. Has that Luminous Barrier ability, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon GX or EX. So just a really nice ability, so handy in a variety of matchups. You'd be surprised the amount of games that I've played with this thing where I'll just get out the Alolan Ninetales and people will scoop just because their deck might not have a good answer for it. So the baby Alolan Ninetales is definitely a very solid card. Has Aurora Beam for just a water DCE, so pretty easy to power up, 80 damage. So with the choice band we're hitting 110, which is nice because we can 2-shot most GXs in the current format. So a solid little one prize backup attacker if we need it. We're also playing a 2/2 Zoroark GX line in this deck. A little bit thinner than what you've seen probably more recently, but you have to remember this is not a Zoroark GX deck. This is an Alolan Ninetales GX that also happens to run Zoroark. So this is kind of going to fill the role of something like an Octillery that would have in the past. Just a nice support Pokemon to increase our consistency. And it has some really nice synergy with Alolan Ninetales. So the first thing it has is Trade. Of course, you guys are familiar with that. Discard a card from my hand and draw 2 cards. Really nice, but also it's great because we can throw water energy in the discard pile to get out with Aqua Patch later. So, like I said, some nice synergy with Alolan Ninetales. And Ride to Speeding, of course, is a solid little backup attack. 20 for each Pokemon that we have in play. Let's see, of course we are running 4 of the Beacon Vulpix just to, allow us to get some extra Pokemon out of our deck in the early game. Of course, 3 Tapu Lele, and then 2 copies of the promo Tapu Koko. So this is such a good card because we constantly need to, refuel our Alolan Ninetales GX on the bench. So we need something with free retreat, and we don't have Floatstone anymore, so that's why we're playing the kind of thick count of the Tapu Koko. It's basically going to enable us to always have a nice free retreater in between knockouts, and also Flying Flip is actually a great attack for a DCE, spreads 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and this is actually really important for setting up knockouts for Alolan Ninetales GX. So against something like a Zoroark GX has 210 HP. Well, a choice banded Alolan Ninetales GX can only hit for 190. So in the early game, if we can get off a Flying Flip, that's going to set up all of our opponent's stage 1 GXs for knockouts for the rest of the game. So really, really nice attack. Like I said, it's a great free retreater, and the attack has synergy with our Ninetales. So pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the Pokemon line that this deck previously ran, but the trainers are where things get a little bit more interesting. So of course we lost a ton of cards in the rotation, and so the supporter line is going to look very different from what we had maybe a year ago when this deck actually saw a little bit of play. So kind of our early setup engine that we have in this deck is going to be one copy of Apricorn Maker. This is a card I've seen a lot of people experimenting with, and it seems to make a bit of sense. You search your deck for up to 2 item cards that have the word ball in their name, reveal them, put them into your hand. So we play 3 nest balls in this list. This will allow us to grab our nest balls, or of course we can still grab our ultra balls as well if we want to. So we're playing this as kind of our Bridget substitute, and we're also playing one copy of Lily as well. So it's another alternate first turn supporter. If you play it on your first turn, you can draw until you have 8, but for the rest of the game, you just draw until you have 6. So if we prize one of these, we usually have the other ones still in the deck, and so it just... That's kind of the early game, turn 1 supporter lineup I've been playing in most post-rotation decks. This is still very early on in my testing, so there might be some things that can change here. But for now, I'm liking the split of the Lily and Apricorn Maker. Of course, for Cynthia, that is going to be probably the best supporter we have in the game right now. Just a solid shuffle and draw 6. But we are still playing some other forms of draw power. One copy of Copycat. So you shuffle and draw equal to the amount of cards in your opponent's hand. Especially nice against other Zoroark variants, since they typically keep a pretty large hand size. Also, we have one copy of Judge. So each player shuffles in and draws 4. I especially like Judge in decks that play Zoroark GX, just because you can always draw out of it, even if you are putting yourself down to 4 cards. Let's see, we have one Professor Kukui. This is just an alternate form of hitting that magic 210 number that we need to knock out Stage 1 GXs. So if we're not fortunate enough to get off an early flying flip, we still have Kukui some point in the mid to late game to clean up knockouts with as well. And then the last kind of draw supporter we have is going to be one copy of Tate and Liza, shuffle and draw 5, or we can switch our active with one of our bench Pokemon. I'm kind of liking this card because there are turns where we might not have a Tapu Koko in play, and we might need to have a way to switch to get onto the bench. Or if we have an Alolan Ninetales on the bench that we want to Aqua Patch to, we're still going to need a way to get whatever we were forced to promote out of the active spot. So it allows us, an additional way to switch if we need to. Let's see, of course, 3 copies of Guzma. Let's see, 4 Ultra Ball, 1 Stretcher, 1 Blower, 4 Aqua Patch. Just to get those water energies out of our discard pile to one of our benched water Pokemon. And then also 4 copies of Choice Band, kind of a thick count, but it's really important for Alolan Ninetales to be able to hit for that 190 plus. So we basically never want to use Blizzard Edge without Choice Band, most of the time, if we're attacking into GXs at least. So that's why we are maxing out our copies of Choice Band here. And then for our energy count, we have 8 water and 4 DCE. So yeah, sorry to be a little bit long-winded there, guys. Like I said, post-rotation draw engines are still kind of fluctuating, so I figured I'd go over currently everything I'm using right now. So feel free to experiment with the draw supporter lineup, though, guys. Like I said, this is kind of just where I'm at right now. I haven't really nailed down kind of the ideal supporter lineup for most decks post-rotation yet, but this should be a good start. But anyways, guys, I know I can tend to ramble sometimes, so let's head over to the battle portion of the video, and I'll show you how this deck looks in action. Alrighty, guys, so we have ourselves a game here against Xe Shirt, and we do lose the coin flip. A little unfortunate, but that'll be okay, I'm hoping at least. And, okay. Not the best opening, but we do have a nest ball at the very least. That means we can grab ourselves a Vulpix, or maybe even a Tapu Koko or something like that. And, okay, so we have a Metagross deck. Just as I was saying earlier, definitely not one of this deck's better matchups, but, we're going to see what we can make happen here. I think one of the things we could potentially do, if we can kind of lead our opponent into maybe getting out all of their Metagross or exclusively having GXs in play, we can actually set up a Baby Buzzwole, or not Baby Buzzwole, Baby Ninetales, my mistake, and try to lock them out of the game that way. So that is something we could potentially do, otherwise we might be in some trouble. So let's have to see how this is going to go, but here, just a pass. Okay, we do get Tapu Koko. That's definitely a Pokemon we want to keep in play. And here we can get ourselves a Vulpix, and we do have that Baby Ninetales in there. Looks like we have both Zoroarks. We have a Vulpix prized and a Lele prized. Okay, looks like a couple water energy as well. So we have Kukui. Just making sure we didn't prize anything too crucial. So what do we do here? Yeah, I think we just attach the water energy, give us the option to retreat and use Beacon if we need to. And nice, so we can get down a Zorua And here we can just retreat into Tapu Koko. And we can Aqua Patch again. And we can just pass. So I'm going to retreat into the Tapu Koko here. Just because he is metal type, or Beldum is metal type, if they evolve into Metang, they can actually easily knock out our Alolan Vulpix. So definitely didn't want to use Beacon there if I didn't have to. Well, maybe in hindsight, I probably should just left the Lele active. That probably would have been better. So I was probably just in the mindset of, hey, I'm about to retreat into Vulpix's Beacon. Then I think I realized as I was doing it, wait, Beldum can hit me for weakness, or Metang can even, so we'll just retreat in Koko and try to save our Vulpix for right now. So let's see, can our opponent... Okay, they don't have too much of anything to work with. Ooh, and we top deck Guzma. Okay, so we have some options here. We can start to Flying Flip and just try to set up a bunch of knockouts that way, or if we can maybe even... If we can target down this Beldum and limit the amount of Metagross our opponent gets into play, that could also be good. So I think that's what I'm going to go for here. We don't have a supporter in hand, so maybe we can get one off this off of this prize. We do have, of course, another Lele, but any additional cards are definitely going to be welcome. But here we get a Water Energy, so nothing too special. Let's see what our opponent can get here. So we're going to see a Metal Energy come down. And a Copycat. Okay, they're only going to get 4 cards right now, though. So we'll have to see if they're actually going to get what they need here. Alright, so they are going to get a Metang in play. So I think they're going to do 40. Alrighty, so what do we do here? Right now we're hitting for 60. With a water, it's 80. So we are a little bit short. We can... We can maybe play Tate and Liza and try to guarantee, or not guarantee, but we can try to get a DCE here. Or, no, actually probably what we should have done, we probably should have used the Lele to grab Kukui. We would have been guaranteed a knockout there, so. I think that might have been a little bit of a misplay, but we were going to grab ourselves a Zoroark GX here. Our hand is pretty dead, so we're going to want a way to draw some additional cards. So let's see if we can get ourselves... See if we can get ourselves a DCE here. And we do whiff, but we do hit a Nest Ball, so we can thin another card out of our deck at the very least. So, okay, a little bit missed opportunity not using the Kukui, but nevertheless, we can at least smack this Metang for 60. And hopefully our opponent doesn't have much to work with here. They only used Copycat for 4 last turn, so we'll have to see what they're going to be able to even do. Okay, so no Metagross. I'm liking how this is going. Oh, okay, yeah, this is actually a great top deck. So what we can do here is we can Acerola away, or up this damaged Lele, and then put it back down with the DCE to take a knockout. So here, we'll trade away that Ninetales. We have Rescue Stretcher, so we can get it back if need be. And so yeah, we're going to use this Acerola. And who do we attack with? Oh, and we just get the victory screen, so we somehow pull out a win against Metagross. That is one of the downsides to being a Stage 2 deck sometimes. You are a little bit inherently inconsistent because you need things like rare candies, especially when you compare that to a Zoroark deck or a deck like this that happens to play Zoroark in some capacity to increase your consistency. So let's see if we can have a little bit of a longer game this time. Okay, yeah, we actually have a pretty solid hand. We have 2 Vulpix, we have that turn 1 Lily, and we have a Nest Ball. So this hand looks like it's going to be a pretty good start for us. And this is going to be Malamar. Okay. So here we can Nest Ball. Do we get Zorua or Koko? I feel like we just get the Zorua. We don't really need the Koko this turn, so rather, you know, try to set up that Zoroark GX if possible. Just taking a peek through our deck, it looks like we have an Aqua Patch prize, or no, we have it in hand. So it didn't look like anything too crazy prize from what we could tell. And so, do we attach to get some more cards with Lily? That's what I'm wondering. And I feel like it's safe to. The Malamar decks usually can't attack on first turn, so. Nice. We actually have a pretty good hand. Unfortunately, no Zoroark, but we do have a Ninetales ready for next turn, and we have a Cynthia, we have Tate and Liza, so we have plenty of options to make use of here. So I'm also curious what type of Malamar deck this is. Is it Ultra Necrozma? Is it just a pure Psychic one with like Necrozma GX? We'll have to wait and see here. So we're seeing an Ultra Ball. This might be a Lily, or it might be a Lele to get a Lily, so they can draw until they have 8. That would probably be my guess, but we'll see. So we have a Shining Lugia, okay. So 60 plus 60 if we have an ability, and then 130, okay. So luckily it can't one-shot us, which is actually really nice for Alolan Ninetales. That way we can potentially abuse that Ice Path GX at some point. But the good thing for them about this Shining Lugia is that they have 130 HP, so this Zoroark I have isn't going to be able to take a one-shot unless we have a Kukui. So we are going to see a Tapu Lele come down. Let's see what they're going to grab here. I'd imagine, like I said, I'm assuming we're going to see that Lily for 8. That would make sense to me. Yep, so that seems pretty good. Our opponent already has 2 Inkays in play. They might want to get down a different attacker, or at least an attachment for the turn. I think that's the only thing they might want. Oh, but here we're going to see a Tapu Koko. This is kind of interesting. Huh. Okay, so we're going to see a Flying Flip. So that kind of caught me off guard here. So let's see, what are we going to do? We can evolve this Vulpix. Just trying to think, what do we do this turn? What are we... Actually, I think we could go for Apricorn Maker, and we can guarantee the knockout. So what we can do here, we can go for a Nest Ball and an Ultra Ball. We can use that Ultra Ball to grab our Zoroark, and we can use that Nest Ball to grab an additional bench Pokemon. So we'll just grab another Vulpix here. And, oh wait, we will have to, yeah, forgot, we do need this energy to retreat. So we can discard Tate and Liza and maybe the Ninetales GX. That seems okay to me. We have Rescue Stretcher and 2 others. Or we could do an Aqua Patch even. Yeah, I think that's probably best though, since we can actually, reuse the Ninetales at some point. So here we can retreat. And we have Aqua Patch, so we can, I guess, play that. Doesn't hurt anything. So we'll go ahead and get it down on that Vulpix with Choice Band. And yep, we'll Rise Beating for 120. And nice, we actually hit our Rescue Stretcher too, so we can get that Alolan Ninetales GX right back out of the discard pile if we need it. Alright, so we are going to see a DCE come down on this Lele. And we see a Shrine of Punishment hit the discard. Very interesting. So it's like a spread Malamar deck, kind of. So who knows what we're going to see in this deck. Really not sure what we should be expecting here. And we're just going to see an Energy Drive. Okay. And, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. We have Acerola, so... Okay, yeah, I actually think we can get a knockout this turn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trade while we still have this Zoroark in play. Going to trade away the Cynthia. And I'm going to Acerola up this Zoroark, and we can actually make use of Trade yet again. We're going to promote this Tapu Koko since it has free retreat. And what we can do here is we can actually Stretcher to get this Ninetales back. And we can Aqua Patch, Water, and attach this DCE that we have in our hand as well. So we have Stretcher. Let's go ahead and use that. We can get this Ninetales back. So what do we have? Okay, so we do need to trade this Water. I thought we already had one in there. So yeah, we'll trade away the Water. And yeah, so now what we can do, we can evolve into this Ninetales. We can Aqua Patch to it, and then attach this DCE from our hand as well. And with Choice Band, we will be hitting for 190. So we are going to be able to take a knockout here. And I don't think our opponent has a response, at least not on the board. So we'll do Blizzard Edge, discarding this double cardless energy. And so let's see what we got with these prizes. We get a Water Energy and an Ultra Ball. Okay, I don't mind that, I suppose. So here, what I'm kind of worried about would be a Dawnwing's Necrozma. That's actually kind of what I'm scared of, because they can If they can successfully power it up, they can use Moon's Eclipse GX for a knockout, and then be immune from attacks on my next turn as well. So our opponent really needs to get a Dawnwing's Necrozma here, but it looks like they're powering up this Lugia instead, but I'm honestly fine with that. Here we're just going to see a pass, okay. And we have a second Zoroark GX Online, so our deck is going to be able to kind of take off here at this point. Well, Field Blower definitely getting rid of this Shrine of Punishment. And we'll trade, probably get rid of this Water Energy, that's fine with me. And we have a Guzma, okay, so we can do this, I like this, we can take a knockout on this Shining Lugia this turn as well. Here we'll trade, just trying to think, how many Water Energies have we gone through? Do we trade away a Water or Cynthia? But I think we can just trade the Water. We'll have 2 in the discard, but then we're also going to have another 2 hit the discard pile, potentially if we don't hit DCE. And nice, we actually hit the double Colorless Energy, so that works out pretty perfectly, honestly. So here we can put the DC down, and I could attach or use Aqua Patch to get an additional energy on this Alolan Ninetales for next turn, but again, I'm kind of worried about a Dawnwing's Necrozma. I don't want to waste the Aqua Patch on this active if I don't have to. Or I don't want to use it and then my opponent have a way to knock out my Ninetales and the Aqua Patch kind of be for nothing. And similarly, if my opponent wanted to Guzma, they could always potentially Guzma up maybe a Vulpix on the bench to take an easy KO if it had the Water Energy potentially. So I'm just going to kind of sit on this hand for a minute. This is actually one thing I do like about the post rotation. You don't really have to worry about being end as much, so it kind of gives you the room to be more conservative with your play sometimes like this. Like in the prior format, sometimes I probably would have just played down the Aqua Patch in preparation of an end, but luckily we don't really have to worry about that right now. So let's see, we haven't seen a Dawnwing's Necrozma yet. I would bet our opponent plays one. So we are going to see a Mysterious Treasure, so if I had to put money on it, we're going to see Dawnwing's Necrozma hit the board this turn. Oh, okay, so we're going to see an Inkay. Maybe they have one in hand if that's what they're going for. Or even better for us, hopefully, if they do play it, it's prized. That would be ideal. And yeah, it looks like they're eyeing down a Hypnosis from the looks of it. If that's the case, I feel pretty good. And they're going to go for an Oranguru here as well, just to draw some extra cards. Has that Instructability, they can draw until they have 3 cards in their hand. So I really don't know what they could hit at this point that would make me scared. Like, I feel like we're just in such a dominant position at this point. So your opponent is going to hit us with the Hypnosis, and we do stay asleep, which is a little bit of a pain. But here we'll trade away this Tapu Lele GX. We have a full bench, so not really too much use for that. We can trade probably this Cynthia away. I kind of want to save some energy. And okay, yeah, I kind of like where we're at. We'll evolve this fresh Ninetales. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult for our opponent to potentially knock out, depending on what attackers they run in their deck. So we'll double Aqua Patch to this guy and kind of threaten an additional Ninetales GX if they somehow knock out this next one. And yeah, we'll get down the Choice Band just in case. And we're going to go for the Cynthia. Okay, yeah, and I actually pretty much like our hand. We have Guzma, so if they do throw down like a Lele or any sort of GX attack or anything like that, we have Choice Band ready to go, even if they use Field Blower. So I think we're in a great spot to close out this game. So we're going to see a Tate and Liza from our opponent. And do they find another attacker? That's one thing they've really been struggling to find this game. They had the one Shining Lugia in play. That's really been their only, I'd say, beefy attacker so far. Other than that, they just had a Lele active. They had a Tapu Koko. And it looks like they're eyeing down this Oranguru to attack with it. Alright, so here we're going to trade. We can get rid of, I think, one of these Leles. Okay, don't need that. What do we get rid of here? Maybe Tapu Koko I could see, or maybe even Judge. We'll do the Koko. I think either of these targets are fine at this point. I don't think our opponent is going to KO our Tapu Koko, So here what I kind of want to do, I just want to use Zoroark to take a prize here. We're going to target down this this Oranger, since that's what it looks like our opponent is eyeing down. And also they don't have a pretty big hand, so this will potentially eliminate some draw. And we get the victory screen, so they saw we were going to go down to one prize there, and then we had just a bunch of just powered up attackers ready to go for the following turn. So I think they were just a little too far behind at that point in the game, guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this look at this Alolan Ninetales deck. Like I said earlier in the video, it's exciting to kind of test out some of these old favorites that disappeared from the format for a while, but we'll have to see how Ninetales and the rest of these old decks that are coming back into the mix do now that we are in this new rotation or post-rotation format. But as usual, guys, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you can support this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up something from our online store at rarecandytcg.com, it would mean a lot. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.